Ambedkar. Well, friends, let me heartily welcome you all to Bhim Bhashya, my audio video podcast series about Dr. Baba Sahab Ambedkar. This audio visual podcast series has 54 short speeches on Dr. Baba Sahab Ambedkar, each speech not exceeding 20 minutes, unraveling as many as 25 different dimensions of his multifaceted genius. Friends, this podcast series is focused on Dr. Baba Sahab Ambedkar, his thoughts, his actions, his philosophy, and above all, the grand vision that he had shown for the country. That is what this podcast series is all about. Friends, let's resume our discussion of Dr. Ambedkar as an orator, part 3. In the last episode, episode 19, we talked about Dr. Ambedkar's guidance to his general followers. In this particular episode, that is episode 20, I would like to discuss Dr. Ambedkar's sage advice and guidance to women and the youth. In this episode, I have chosen 2 speeches that he delivered especially for women and 1 speech that he delivered for the youth. The first speech of Dr. Baba Sahab Ambedkar that I have chosen, addressing women, was titled Upliftment of Untouchables and the Role of Women. This was a speech given in Marathi during the Mahad Satyagraha. Obviously, it was given in Mahad. The date was December 27, 1927. The speech goes like this, and I quote, "Sisters, I am very glad that you have come for this meeting. As men and women solve the problems of the household together, likewise, the problems of social household should be solved by men and women together. If men alone would take this responsibility on their shoulders, no doubt they will require a lot of time. But if women would share the responsibility, then men will succeed much faster. Hence, you should always make it a point to attend such conferences." Goes on Dr. Ambedkar, and I quote again, "In real sense, the question of abolition of untouchability is not that of men, but of you, women. You gave birth to us, men. You know how other people treat us, even inferior than animals. Sometimes they don't even bear our shadow. Other people get respected position in the court and in the offices, but we, born from your womb, cannot get even a job of a police constable. You must realize that whatever sanctity Brahmin women have, you have it too. Whatever character they have, you have it too. In fact, the courage and daring that you possess is lacking among Brahmin women. Why should your child be deprived of even human rights?" Have you ever thought this over? I think you have never thought about this. If you had, then you might have done Satyagraha before men. The only sin that we have committed is to be born from your womb, and that is why we are being subject to this punishment of untouchability. You should think why it is treated as a sin to take birth from your womb and why it is virtuous to take birth from womb of other women. I wish to tell you that you should give up old and heinous traditions and customs. In reality, there is no stamp of untouchability pressed on the forehead of the untouchables, but the customs and traditions that you follow reveal to others that certain person is untouchable. These customs and traditions were forced on us some time back. You should stop all those things from which people identify us as untouchables. Your style of wearing sari is a sure sign of your untouchability. You should change it. You should be wearing a sari as women from the caste Hindus do. It will not cost you anything. In the same way, cheap ornaments around the neck and hands are also signs to identify you as untouchables. It is not necessary to wear more than a necklace. More ornaments do not give you extra life to your husband, nor does it give you additional beauty. Clothes are more adorned than ornaments, and hence, instead of wasting money on ornaments of silver and brass, spend money on the fine clothes. If you must wear an ornament, it must be of gold. Same way, take care of hygiene. You are the goddess of the house. Since last March, our people have stopped eating meat of dead animals. I am glad. If it has not happened in some houses, you should take the responsibility to make it happen. You must warn your husband that if he brings the meat of dead animal in the house, it would not be tolerated. I am sure that if you take this seriously, this bad thing will stop completely. You should educate your daughters as well. Knowledge and education are not for men only. It is necessary for women too. If you wish to reform your next generation, you must give educations to girls as well. Dr. Ambedkar added at the end, and I quote again, I am hopeful that you will take my advice seriously. You should not be lethargic while implementing it. Before leaving for home tomorrow morning, show me the change in the style of wearing your sari. If you do that, then alone I will be convinced that my advice has reached. The second speech of Dr. Baba Sahab Ambedkar addressing women followers was titled, Progress of the Community is Measured by Progress of Women. This was an address in Marathi that he made at the All India Depressed Classes Women's Conference second session, which was held in Nagpur on July 20, 1942. This very important speech goes as follows, and I quote, I am very happy to have this occasion of addressing you. There cannot be an occasion of greater happiness to anyone interested in the advancement of the depressed classes than to witness this gathering of women. That you would assemble in such a vast number, almost 20,000 or 25,000 strong, would have been unthinkable 10 years ago. I am a great believer in women's organization. I know what they can do to improve the conditions of society if they are convinced. In the eradication of social evils, they have rendered great services. Dr. Ambedkar said, and I quote again, I measure the progress of a community by the degree of progress which women have achieved. And when I see this assembly, I feel both convinced and happy that we have progressed. I shall tell you a few things which I think you should bear in mind. Dr. Ambedkar went on to say, and I quote him again, learn to be clean, keep free from all vices, give education to your children, instill ambition in them, inculcate on their minds that they are destined to be great, remove from them all inferiority complex. Don't be in a hurry to marry. Marriage is a liability. You should not impose it upon your children unless financially they are able to meet the liabilities arising from marriage. Those who will marry will bear in mind that to have too many children is a crime, that parental duty lies in giving each child a better start than its parents had. Above all, let each girl who marries stand up to her husband, claim to be her husband's friend and equal, and refuse to be his slave. I'm sure if you follow this advice, you will bring about honor and glory to yourselves and to the depressed classes. Turning now, friends, to Dr. Ambedkar's advice to the youth. I have chosen one speech which is comprehensive enough to cover so many different dimensions. This is a speech which was titled, Success is Achieved by Hard Work and Sustained Efforts. This was a Marathi speech which was made in Pune Untouchable Students Conference, Pune, and the date was September 11, 1938. Here are some excerpts from this speech. To begin with, Dr. Ambedkar says that, though I am engaged in politics and social work, I will be a student for my entire life. Dr. Ambedkar went on to say, and I quote, who will not be pleased to see so many people from a society earning university degrees, particularly when there was no trace of any kind of education in it for thousands of years. Although now there are many who have done graduation, we must take a note of the fact that people with whom we are going to fight are much ahead. Today, all the men in power are from the upper caste. If you go to any office to ask for jobs, you won't get any because your senior officers over there fill up the vacancies with their relatives. You will not get jobs by simply becoming a graduate. Without competing with the people from the upper caste with your intellect, your education would be useless. In fact, just as they have been suppressing you and your ancestors for the past hundreds of years, they will try again to suppress you. Hence, your education should be such that all our students should be able to dominate the world. Do not be contented with just becoming a BA. Remember your duties and strive to achieve excellence in education. When I first became a barrister, I was ridiculed being an untouchable. But I got their mouths shut by my actions and by my performance. Dr. Ambedkar goes on to say, and I quote again, unless we shine brightly, we do not get recognition and attention. It is not so with other communities. Our work of gold's value is termed as tin's worth. But when people from the upper caste do some work, even that of just tin's worth, it is considered as a work worth the gold. This is the way things work today in the society. You will see that an untouchable woman or a cleaner's wife or a cobbler's wife wears gold ornaments, the upper caste people think it is fake. However, if a woman hailing from an upper caste wears even brass ornaments, it is presumed that they are of gold. We face a similar situation everywhere. Only if our work is extraordinary would we stand a chance of being recognized. We need to create confidence within ourselves in order to achieve this. There is no other supernatural strength greater than your confidence. We should not lose our own confidence. Dr. Ambedkar then goes on to talk about his personal life. He says, like you, and I quote, like you, I was also born to an untouchable woman. I had no better facilities or a healthy environment than others. I have studied in 100 square feet room, living with my parents, brothers and sisters' kids under a dim light of kerosene lamp. If I could overcome these obstacles and could fight all the calamities in my life to achieve all this, then why should it be difficult for you to do it now when so many modern facilities are available? A man can become competent and intelligent only by constant, sustained hard work. No person is born a hero. When I was a student in England, I successfully completed in just 2 years and 3 months the course which normally takes 8 years to complete. For this, I used to study up to 21 hours a day. I am beyond 40 years of age today, but still I can continuously work for 18 hours. Dr. Ambedkar went on to say, and I quote him again, only by sustained hard work you achieve success. Nothing can be achieved by simply earning degrees. A degree is just a collection of study resources for gaining knowledge when teachers are not around. Along with knowledge, we also need to have ethics and a good moral character. Without morals, knowledge is useless. This is because knowledge is a weapon. Knowledge is like a sword. Its value lies in the hands of the user. If we have people with education but without morals, devastation of the society and the nation is certain. Hence, every person should primarily have a good moral character. Finally, Dr. Ambedkar said, and I quote him again, as I conclude, I wish to tell you that if you remain together, you might achieve something. Today's generation should themselves come up and take on their shoulders the responsibilities of preventing further injustice and oppression which our community has suffered for thousands of years. There is a tremendous need for unity in our society, and I'm sure that we can achieve our aim through our solidarity. Finally, he said, and I quote, only if you follow extreme discipline, something might be possible, or else there would be extreme chaos everywhere, leading to disintegration and destruction of the society. Hence, everybody should take utmost care to remain united. Lastly, I would only advise you to strengthen your character and organization and increase your discipline and uplift our society with your own efforts. Unquote. This single speech about youth is very comprehensive, and it lays the foundation of confidence, ambition, and achievement with good moral behavior. Friends, this sage advice of Dr. Ambedkar, given years ago for both women as well as the youth, is well worth remembering. Friends, we can conclude this session here. But before I close the session, let me remind you, if you like this audio visual podcast series Bhim Bhashya, like it, share it, and subscribe to it. Well, friends, so long until we meet real soon. Thank you. Namaskar.